Hello! Welcome back to another episode of McKill's Dead Chronicles. I'm your host, Dr. Kenny Williamson. And, we're coming from the great state of Arkansas over here, as you know that if you listen to the podcast. And as you probably also know, depending on where you're at, it's getting hot outside. It's like last weekend, I think it was 18 degrees. And this weekend, it's 90-some degrees. So you can barely walk outside without having heat stroke. And I've noticed here that every year you have another nuisance type pest show up in large quantities. So it seems like every year it's a different one. And I label it as such. So a couple of years ago, I called it the year of the fly. Because literally the flies were so thick. I mean, we're talking like millions. If you walked outside, they got all over you even. I mean, you couldn't do anything without flies swarming. And one year, I think it was last year, I called it the year of the mosquito. Literally, the mosquitoes, it was unbelievable. And I had a pest control service come out and spray for mosquitoes and everything. It was ridiculous. I mean, if you walked outside to try to get to your vehicle, mosquitoes were just all over you. They got in your vehicles. It was horrible. And I think it was last year, I called it the year of the flea. All of a sudden, there's fleas everywhere. You walk outside and your legs are covered in fleas. Go in the house, they're covered in fleas. So I had to spray the house and fog the house. Have the guys come out and spray the yard. Then I had to buy some stuff at the, Atwoods or whatever and spray again. I had to spray like every other day for a month straight to get those fleas beat down. Well, it's already started this year. As soon as we got the sun coming out, I'm going to call this the year of the wasp. Okay. I have got more red wasps and hornets and some other kind of wasp in between this office, this studio here, and my house is a walkway, a concrete, on the floor. Hundreds. So you walk out the door here to try to go back into the house. They are flying in this corridor by the hundreds. You walk out the front door. They're 10 on the front porch, so I spray them. I go back out there, there's 3 more. I spray them. It's unbelievable. Swarming. I've already had 2 or 3 land in my beard, 1 land on my hair, 1 land on my pants, and just sit there. I'm surprised it didn't sting me. They're just swarming everywhere. Now, I've had a few in the past, and I spray them, but this is ridiculous. So the other day at Atwoods, I stopped in to get some wasp spray because these things literally eat you alive out there. And I bought a case of 12. And everybody's just like, why would anybody need that much wasp spray? What are you going to do? You're spraying an awful lot of wasps, aren't you? Like, if you've been to my house and see how many wasps there are, they literally swarm you. So, you're the wasp. Every year, it's a different something. 1 year, ladybug. 1 year, aphids. I mean, these things show up like the little, we call them here stink bugs. You squash them and they stink. Packed everywhere. In your windows, in your car, all over the porch. It's just like, where are these things coming from? I literally, in this office here, I have a little refrigerator over there on the other side. You can't see it. It's a Red Bull cooler is what it is. Refrigerator. With some soda pop in it and water. The stinking aphids were dead, laying all in the bottom of the refrigerator. A sealed refrigerator door with a rubber gasket around it at like 35 degrees. I'm sure that's what killed them. But it's like, how did aphids get into this shipping container, then into the refrigerator and die? I don't know. That's a good question. But, that's what we have going on here. Every year, it's a different insect or something, and here they come. And you can't get rid of them. I mean, You literally fight them the whole summer long, tooth and nail. Wintertime gets here and they disappear. And then here comes something else the next year. So, anyway, I've killed already this year 30, 40, 50 wasps. I anticipate killing hundreds. And they're so thick, and, well, I'm going to get some wasp traps this year. I had to get I got fly traps the year of the fly. And these things are like this big. They literally filled up from the bottom to the top, I'm going to say with hundreds of thousands of flies. It's disgusting. Stunk. Couldn't hardly get rid of the things. They were nasty. Packed full. And it's like the more you put out, the more flies went in there. So it didn't make a dent in them. So then I started thinking, well, maybe I'm luring them here to go to the trap. But anyway, so I'm going to hang up some wasp traps all outside along this building because it's ridiculous. Anyway, having said all that, here we are. No wasps in here yet. Not to say there won't be. So, obviously, we've got all kinds of stuff going on here in the news. We'll cover that on a different podcast, I guess. You know, we've got celebrities dying. What's new? We've got celebrities probably changing roles back and forth. Who knows? I keep track of that a lot, and I follow a guy, Fittest Flat Earther. He talks about it all the time. He's convinced that these are fallen angels who are pretending to be humans, okay? And what they're doing is they set themselves up as either athletes or musicians, actors, and they're the ones that are the top of the top of the top. So, like, the best swimmer out of the whole entire world is, what's his name, Phelps. He's saying that Phelps is actually a fallen angel, and he's got several different faces that he plays parts of. And what's funny is he goes on and talks about this, and this Phelps actually looked him up and sent him a message and said, please quit using my name. He said, you're wrong, you're guessing. It's pretty funny. I mean, you wouldn't think a guy like Phelps, this top-notch gold medal swimmer, like the best swimmer out of the whole entire world ever, would even be paying attention to some guy here on TikTok or Facebook calling him a fallen angel. But apparently some of these guys are paying attention. I don't know. I'm sure they're not paying attention to my site, but they are apparently to his. So I've got a whole bunch of stuff on that. I'm trying to get him on the podcast. I wish I could. Not Phelps, but Fittest Flat Earther. No, but the thing I wanted to talk about here, of course, I've got a TikTok site. I'm going to post that here real quick. Look at this. If you're seeing this on video, here it is. McKeel's Deck Chronicles. I go by Flat Earth Man on there. As you can see, I've got all kinds of different videos up there. Some of them are kind of funny. Okay. Some of them are kind of funny, like I was saying. Some of them are just to draw your attention. Some of them are stupid. But what I've found with TikTok is that's kind of what they want. They want things that are different, they attract attention, and they'll promote some of that stuff and some of the stuff they won't. So it's kind of hit and miss. You got to be real careful what you say on here, on TikTok, anywhere. And that's why I have a Patreon now. And I don't know if I have a picture of that or not, but I have a Patreon, and I'm uploading a lot of different videos, like from Peter Ruckman, from Kent Hovind, stuff that talks about creation, talks about dinosaurs. So a lot of the stuff, no, I take that back. Not a lot. Some of the stuff I disagree with, and I can talk about that. 95% of the stuff is probably right on. So if you have any questions about, like, well, what about Garden of Eden? What about dinosaurs? What about this? What about that? Go watch those videos. They're on my Patreon, on McKeel's Deck Chronicles Patreon. They're free to watch. You do have to become a member by signing up, but it's free. You can watch them for free. They're like 2 or 3 hour videos. Got slides and everything. They are very interesting. If you have time, watch them. Anyway, I posted one of those, as you know, on YouTube, and they immediately banned it, took it down, and said it was misinformation, and I was spreading false and lie, a whole 9 yards. So you can't even mention, anything about dinosaurs or firmament or anything in any, you can if you're an idiot. So if I went on there and said that it didn't exist, and I dropped the F-bomb 4 or 5 times and used the Lord's name in vain, they'll promote it, and it'll see millions of people will see it. But if I go on there and talk about the Bible and talk about the same stuff, but don't cuss and, say that it's real, you're banned. That's the way the world works now. You can get on there and cuss and say the Lord's name in vain, and you can be the most foul, filthy mouth, disgusting piece of garbage that ever lived on there, and your numbers will go to the roof, boy. They'll have you everywhere, on every billboard, because that's what they like. They like filth. That's what this world is now. Well, it's ran by the devil, of course. So if the more filthy you are, the more likes you get. You say something true or something about God, they want you gone. They do everything they can to get rid of you. So, and they're doing that here, other stuff as well. Not just on these social media platforms, but you can get on there and start looking at some stuff, and you'll notice that depending on your color of your skin, you can get away with murder, literally. But if you're a different color, nah. And I'm starting to notice, and this has been going on for a long time, that Christians, or people who claim to be Christians, they seem to get arrested, persecuted, and convicted of crimes all the time that other people just walk away from. Interesting how that works, isn't it? So I figure it's a matter of time before this whole deal here I'm doing probably gets shut down. I'm sure there's a giant target on my back. There has to be, right? All these other guys, there is. Even this Kent Hovind, he got arrested here a while back for something to do with domestic battery or something with a woman. And he basically got married, and he's been married several times, whatever. And he gets married, and this woman apparently goes crazy. And so he's filming this thing, and he says, I'm having to film this because he's very calm. Films the whole thing. And she's going absolutely crazy and cussing and going insane like a devil and throwing stuff and busting stuff up. He films the whole thing, records it all. And then she calls the police and says that he did it to her. So he goes to court, and shows them the video, and he's the one that gets arrested. She's the one doing everything and is filmed, but he's the one that gets arrested. So, she can cuss, go crazy, and become the devil. Hey, go home, honey. We'll go arrest him. And he's the one saying, please do not do this. You need to calm down. I am recording this, for my own. Didn't make any difference. It didn't make any difference. He's what's called a wasp. And I don't mean that you're the wasp, like here, okay? He's a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. So, target. You're going to jail, buddy. Doesn't matter if you didn't do anything and you filmed the whole thing. Doesn't matter. You're going to jail. So that's the world we live in. Okay? Anyway, having said all that, that's another soapbox that I get on and can't get off of. You know me. So, on TikTok. Again, back to that. You know me. I go on tangents. Back to TikTok. I put some stuff up. And this is an interesting subject. I talk about this all the time. And so I put up this picture, and it shows a guy looking up. I'll see if I can share the screen here with you, if you can see this. Just updated this stupid software here, and it doesn't work right anymore, of course. So now it doesn't want to share stuff like it's supposed to. Anyway, but here it is. It says, can't see an airplane 8 miles in the sky, but seeing Starlink satellites 342 miles above in the space is no problem. Okay, so you got a guy looking up and he can't see anything, but you look up and you see the Starlink. Okay. Here we go again, right? Here we go again with flat earth man, fake space. Well, it is what it is. It's funny because, the things are flying by all the time. I've seen them myself. So, and it looks just like that picture. Okay? It's a whole bunch of dots, and they're you can see them plain as day. Only show up at night, of course. Imagine that. So I post this, right? And let's see. Well, it was going to let me see whatever I wrote here. Here's what I wrote. I said, it's easy to see a satellite the size of your kitchen table over 300 miles away, right? Those satellites that are all lit up like Christmas trees that fly right over your head. I know you've seen them, right? The ones that your dish is pointed at, but they just flew by. Got to keep adjusting that dish, Satire, folks. Well, I have to say that on the end of everything now. I have to say it's satire because if you say that it's real, like you say it as like a, hey, think about this, it's immediately taken down or shadow banned. So it's satire, folks. It's fake. It's all fake. You know that, right? This is satire. This whole entire podcast is all fake satire. I really believe in outer space. Right? Don't you? Don't you all? I mean, you can. So the point of this whole thing is, okay, and now here's the funny part. You've got these internet experts that don't have a brain in their head. I'm going to call them brain-dead lunatics. They're either that or devils. Probably both. And liars, and probably bots. God knows who's coming on here saying this. Probably not even real people. Who knows? So, the first thing they attack is they say, oh, airplanes don't fly 8 miles high. Really? They do. But 8 is the maximum. Okay? There's a reason for that. See, but they're too dumb to understand this. The point is, if an airplane was flying at 8 miles high, you can't see it. Now, you may be able to see a teeny, tiny speck, barely. Usually the only reason you can ever see it is because it's got a bunch of chemtrails behind it, and you can see the line, and then you see the line, and the line's getting longer. So you have to kind of focus in to where the point is, and you're like, wait a second, is there something there? That must be an airplane. Okay? And that's just go look up. Now, some are lower, and you can see them plain as day. But when they're the highest, that's what we're talking about here. Now, some of these fools here, they're like, oh, I can see an airplane, no problem. Flew right over my head. Well, I'm sure if it's at 1 mile high, you're going to see it. Pretty good. 2 miles high, you're going to see it a little less. 3 miles, 4 miles, 5 miles, 6. Just keep counting, fool. They're too stupid to do that. But that's why we're here. We're going to help them out. So the 8 miles is the maximum. They're probably not going to fly any above that. But they do fly between 6 and 10 miles, depending on the plane. Depending on who it is. Depending on if it's the government or if it's a regular airline that's flying at 35,000 feet. Just divide it by 5,000 what? 80, 5,280, that's a mile. That's how many feet you're going to be. So, they missed the point, though. You can look up, and you can barely see an airplane flying at that point. This airplane that you're looking at, let's say, 8 miles away, that you can barely see, is the size of a football field almost. Now, they're too stupid to understand what that is. I don't understand that because all they do is watch sports. Brain-dead sports. Watching grown men in tights run around and play with a ball. That's what they're into. So you'd think they'd know the relative size of a football field. You would think that they would understand that Boeing 747 or 57 or 777 or whatever it is almost the same size as a football field. It's big. And you can barely see it as a speck, and at the maximum, 8 miles away. However, they honestly believe that you can see a Starlink satellite. Okay, now you can see it, plain as day. No problem. It's not 8 miles away, though. Must be closer, right? Oh, no. Oh, no. It's not 8 miles away, over 300 miles away. And that's conservative. 350, 340. And, just for 8, for the number 8, because they like to use 8s, right? Everything's an 8 or a 3. 33, 8, aces and 8s, 33s. That's what the fake CGI bull likes to use. So let's use their numbers. 8 miles versus 348 miles. Or how about this? 338 miles. Doesn't really matter. The point of the matter is, these things are between 300, 350 miles away. But you can see them plain as day. Now, you can't see a 747 at 8 miles, barely. Sometimes you can't. And it's the size of a football field. But you can see the satellite at 338 miles away. How big is the satellite is the next question. Well, it must be bigger than a 747 then, right? Oh, no. Oh, no. In fact, it's smaller than the engine on a 747. Some of these satellites they're saying are about the size of your kitchen table. That's a lot smaller than the engine. Think about that. Okay, drop Cartoon Network for a second. Drop the TV guide. Drop the comic book just for a second. And if you have any kind of brain in your head whatsoever, all right, I want you to think for a moment and try to think of an object the size of an average kitchen table that you can see at 350 miles away. I'm waiting. Please tell me. The airplane is not even 8 miles away, and you can barely see it. And it's the size of a football field. So if that same airplane was 350 miles away, you wouldn't be able to see any part of it at all, ever. It's impossible. Do you get it? So how can you see a satellite at 350 miles away that's the size of a kitchen table? You can't. It's impossible. So, the next logical question, right? Because every once in a while, we get somebody that actually has a logical question. Now, they may be being smart aleck when they're doing it, because people are so indoctrinated now. See, we're at a point in the timeline now. Everybody has been indoctrinated with this stuff for hundreds of years. So your average, everyday person, your normie, who's been indoctrinated 24 hours a day, 7 days a week since birth, they think that I'm a blooming idiot for asking a question like this. That's what they think. Because if they're told by their God, which is NASA or the NFL or some movie star, that's their gods. If their God, the devil, tells them that they can see a potato chip at 1,000 miles away, they believe it. Now, you won't be able to see a jet airliner at 1,000 miles away, but you can see a potato chip. That's how ridiculous this is. That's the size difference, nearly. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but you get the point, right? That's how stupid this stuff is, and people soak it up like a sponge. And they will literally argue tooth and nail that you can see a potato chip 1,000 miles away, even though we can't. And you can't prove it. But they heard it on TV. They saw it on Cartoon Network. They saw Bugs Bunny talking about it, so it's the God's truth. That's how ignorant people are. But according to the Bible, in the last days, people will be willingly ignorant. And that's exactly what we have now. They don't even want to know the truth. They don't have enough brain power to think about the truth. So they're willingly ignorant. Okay, so every once in a while we get a good statement. So I post this up. Here we go. And that I already read you what I said. So the first guy, good question. So, what are those Starlink satellites then? How do they maintain their uniform spacing, direction, and speed? That is a good question. Well, what are they then? I don't know. What could they be, though? We know they're not a satellite in outer space, don't we? We know that they're lit up like a Christmas tree and they only show up at night. Why would they be lit up like that? Nothing else is lit up. Oh, well, it's the sun on the other side of the earth and it's a reflection of the sun. Really? Why aren't the airplanes flying by lit up? Oh, well, they are. You can see the lights. Oh, no. A light bulb on an airplane that you can see blinking is not the same as the sun reflecting. I'm sorry, that doesn't work. These satellites supposedly have no lights on them at all, but you can see them plain as day. They look like a giant light. Oh, it's the sun reflecting on them. Okay, well, again, these things are the size of a kitchen table. They're 350 miles away. A 747 flies overhead at night. You can barely see its little blinking lights, but you can't see the plane. So why isn't the plane lit up like a Christmas tree and you can see the full outline of it? Shouldn't it also be reflecting the sun's light on the other side of the fake globe? A satellite does it the size of a kitchen table, and it's lit up so bright it's unbelievable. Almost fakely, like it's not really a satellite in outer space, and it's not really being lit up by the sun, and it's not literally 350 miles away. So what is it? Well, my theory is that it's something a whole lot closer, probably a light on a balloon. And so what they have is they have a whole bunch of these balloons tethered together with some type of a light on the bottom. And they sail them over you. And that's what you see. Because you couldn't see if it was 350 miles away. That's impossible. So, yeah. So some of these guys are like, well, one guy says, well, the human eye can see a candle up to 30 miles away at night. Of course, can't prove that. But even if that was true, the candle is putting out its own light. You couldn't see a candle if it wasn't lit at probably 500 feet at night. Probably 100 feet at night. Could you? And I'm sure the 30 miles is made up. The point of the matter is these satellites don't have any lights on them. So why are they lit up? Yeah. So, this guy here, another guy comes on and comments, and this is probably the truth here. This is somebody that has a brain. Okay? And he says he was in Arizona in 2023. A string of Starlink satellites went over them 3 nights in a row. Okay, well, why are they flying them like this? I don't know, but went over them 3 nights in a row. He says, that was pretty cool, right? He says, then a wildfire broke out in a neighboring city right there. And he said it puts up a massive plume of smoke. He said when the Starlink came over that night, the lights on the Starlink lit the smoke up. He said the smoke plume was illuminated. From a satellite 340 miles away. So he said it lit up the smoke plume as it went through the smoke. So these things flew through the smoke and lit the smoke up. He said, according to information, these smoke plumes were around 30,000 feet high, is what was reported by the news. So in other words, an airplane cruising at 35,000 or 38,000 feet, you could fly over the smoke plume and see it down below you. You could look out the window and see it. You could see the smoke down there and go, oh, look, a big fire. That's common. They've got pictures of that all the time. The satellites flew through the smoke and lit the smoke up. Huh. They're not at 340 miles away, are they? Oh, no. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, about 6 miles away. So they were about 30,000 feet. They flew through the smoke. I thought they were 350 miles away. No. So anyway, he says he witnessed it, and so did many people at the camp. Well, here's the problem. When you say that, that means you're a liar. Because you just saw Starlink fly over, and it wasn't at 340 miles. It was way lower, and it lit up the smoke. That's because they're lit. They have bulbs on them. My theory is they're on a tethered balloon system. They're lights. That's why they're in a perfect row. They're being flown across the sky, and they're being masqueraded around as satellites in outer space, when we all know they're not. Well, we all don't know that. And so then, like, another person says, oh, well, you know, the reason they're so low is they're only low when they're first put in orbit, then they get higher. Really? Do you know how stupid you sound? 30,000 feet. How are you going to put satellites in orbit real low? Don't these things rely on no gravity? They rely on outer space where there's no gravity. Remember? That's how they float. They're stuck up there in orbit where there's no gravity. Otherwise, they'd fall back down like a rock. So how are you putting satellites out at 30,000 feet where there's gravity, right? Remember, that's your globe term that all globers use that believe gravity. Well, shut the air engine off on your airplane at 30,000 feet and see what happens, dude. See if you float away. You won't. You'll fall back down to the earth like a rock and you'll get smashed flat. You'll be dead as a hammer. Try it. If you're so stupid you think it works, try it. I'd love to see it. I'd pay to see it. No, they're not releasing satellites at 30, 40, or 50, or 60,000 feet. Why? Because they'd fall to the ground like a rock. But yet, here these flew through the smoke at roughly 30,000 feet. How can that be possible? Well, folks, they're not really satellites in outer space. They're something to fool you. It's a trick. It's a magician's trick is what it is. It's designed to get you to look up, and then the news, the fake news, they all report that that's what you're seeing. So your mind believes it because you've believed in propaganda your whole life. So why wouldn't this be true? You believe everything else you're told. So when they tell you those lights you see are 350 miles away, you believe it. Even though we both know you can't see light from 350 miles away. It's impossible. I've even watched a globe guy, an atheist, a non-Bible believer who is a physicist of some kind, and he was introduced to this same thing. Of course, everybody pays attention, and they said, hey, I want you to look at this thing. It's 350 miles away. Oh, you can't see that. That's impossible. Well, they're claiming you can see it. Oh, no, you must be misunderstanding. They don't even believe it. I mean, the ones you hear on TV that say they believe it are either getting paid to believe it or they're liars. That's all there is to it. They know better. There isn't an actual scientist alive that can tell you or believes, if he honestly thought about it, that you can see something the size of your kitchen table 350 miles away. And a 747 flies right underneath of them at only 6 miles away, and it's not lit up, and you can't see it. Yeah. So I'm going to go with this guy here. He said he saw it. He said the whole camp saw it. I believe it because I don't believe they're satellites to begin with. So there you go. Now, does Starlink work? Well, yeah, it works. How does it work? I don't know. Probably like White Alice did. It's reflecting off the firmament. That's all it's doing. Either that, or it's actually reflecting off towers somewhere. Or, as a conspiracy music guru says, he believes that all these jet airliners, probably the same ones that are spraying all the chemicals that they deny they're spraying, they have some type of send and receive units mounted to the bottom of them. And so your Starlink is actually nothing more than airplanes. And because there's always thousands of airplanes in the sky at all times, your Starlink always works. And one thing that he noticed is that anywhere that planes are down or you're not allowed to fly, all of a sudden Starlink loses its signal. You don't have it. How does that make any sense? It happened over there, in Ukraine area, over some area. All the planes were not allowed to fly in that one area, and that one area has no Starlink. Well, I thought these satellites were in outer space. Why would it matter where you're at on the ground? You just point your dish up in outer space. How does the satellite dish know if you're in the Ukraine or the ocean, or how does it know anything? I thought it was reflecting off a satellite in outer space. Isn't it, or is it? Is it, or is it not? So why is it when there's no airplanes present, there's no Starlink signal present? What does one have to do with the other? Don't ask that question. Don't ask too many questions. Then you'll be labeled a lunatic. Okay, a conspiracy theorist. Because you don't understand that a satellite in outer space quits working when there's no airplane around. Just like if you're flying in an airplane and you're on your phone or your laptop and it says you're connected to a satellite. So the airplane is flying at, let's say, 500 miles an hour, and it's sending a signal to a satellite in outer space that's orbiting the Earth. And then it's sending a signal back down. That's an awful lot of ups and downs and an awful lot of movement. Isn't it more likely that the airplane itself has got to transmit and receive something inside of it, and all it's doing is sending a signal down to a cell phone tower, which are littered all over the face of the Earth? Isn't that a little more logical? And as you're flying, it just keeps connecting to different towers. Wouldn't that make a lot more sense? Let's see. Then we couldn't have Fantasyland. How could we have fake CGI Fantasyland and all of our NASA fanboys? How could we have that if we don't have satellites beaming beams of transmissions all over the face of the Earth? And you know what's funny to me? I never have understood this. Nobody can answer it, by the way. Nobody. I have Starlink. I have a Starlink satellite dish here at my house. I've got it stuck up at the back of the house. Stuck it up there by myself. It's easy. You got a little app you download, and it tells you how to turn it. Back in the old days, I guess they still do it. You call your Dish Network guy out, and he comes out and he puts a dish up, and he has to turn it. Beep, 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 beep. And I even had one tell me, he said, I used to do it for a living. He said, and you have to be dead on. He said, if you turn it just a little bit, you lose the signal. If you turn it a little bit this way, you lose. He called it a gnat's butt. He didn't say but you know. He said you've got to be within a gnat's butt, or you have no signal. That's how accurate this thing has to be. And he really believed he would. He really believed. I mean, I feel bad for the guy. I really do. He really honestly believed he was pointing that dish at a satellite in outer space that's orbiting the Earth. Not even a geostationary that never moves. A satellite that's going around the Earth. Get that? And he points the dish, and it has to be exactly perfect. But the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour in space, right? And the the satellite is flying around the Earth at 17,000 miles an hour. But you have to dial the thing in, and it has to be close as a gnat's butt. Do you honestly believe if, which we know there's not, there was a satellite sitting right above your head, and you went to point it at it, it's moving at 17,000 miles an hour. Don't you think it's moved out of the way by the time you get the thing pointed? It's already flown to the other side of the Earth. When's it coming back? I don't know. What exactly are you pointed at then? Because the satellite's done gone, boy. It's traveling at 17,000 miles an hour. And even if it wasn't, supposedly the Earth is spinning at 1,000 miles an hour. How you going to keep your satellite pointed on a gnat's butt? Explain that to me. Or how about this? You got your Starlink just like me. I was going to say, is I went out and I did the little app, beep, 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 beep. Perfect. That's where it has to be set. So it's got to be aimed perfectly. If it moves out of place, it says, you got to move it back. It's got to be set in that area to get your reception. But I'm like this guy here. I just saw the satellites fly overhead. They were here. They flew over my head, and now they're gone. And you can actually go online and supposedly track these things flying all over the place. So again, what exactly is my dish aimed at since the satellite has flown? It's already flown by. It's gone. You can track it flying around. But yet I have to be pointed in a certain place. And if my little deal gets off, beep, just a little bit, I lose signal. And if I move it over here, it loses all signal. Why would it? Why would it? Satellites buzzing all over the place. String of lights. Just go look at them. Apparently it doesn't make any difference. Wouldn't it be awesome if life down here, in the real world worked that way? Like if you said, I'm going to aim something at this object over here. I want to aim something and I want to hit it. But that object is traveling at 17,000 miles an hour. But I'm going to aim on it and set here, and I'm going to aim this thing on it, and it's going to be aimed on it for 15 years. Even though the object is moving at 17,000 miles an hour and I'm stationary. Or I'm moving this way and it's moving that way, but somehow I can just point and it's always on. It's always there. Huh. I guess that's because down here on Earth, this is not a fantasy, it's real. It's real world, real life. So nothing works like that down here. Only in outer space. Only when NASA gets their hands on it. That's why NASA gets to use their big catchphrase where they say, according to them, only on their stuff, they say, when we're doing it in outer space, okay, not you, us, when we do something, the laws of physics, they simply break down. And they will tell you that with a straight face. When we do something, you common, normal, normie. But when we do it, the laws of physics break down. That's how we can do the impossible. You can't do it. Only we can do it. So you just believe every word we say. So I'm trying to figure out, how do they get anything done when the laws of physics break down? How do you fly something based off the laws of physics when you go to fly it, the laws of physics break down? So now you no longer have laws of physics affecting anything. I guess that's how you can do anything you want. Right? That's how you can fly helicopters on Mars when there's no air on Mars, right? Here on Earth, it takes air. Propellers have to push against something, a medium of some kind. But not on Mars, not for NASA. You can basically use, well, of course, you've seen the picture. If you haven't, go look it up. They have a little helicopter. It has helicopter blades, just like a helicopter here on good old-fashioned Earth. But see, the helicopter blades on Earth work because there's air to push against. But there's no air on Mars, according to NASA. So how are you flying a helicopter around that has the same physical characteristics as the one designed for Earth, but you're flying it around Mars? Wouldn't you need some special something up there? No, I guess not. Laws of physics simply broke down. So now you can fly a helicopter designed to fly on Earth. You can fly it in outer space now. You can fly it in Mars. Hey, go back to your TV guide. Go back to your NFL. Believe everything you're told. Okay? That's what I would do. I'd believe what they're saying, hook, line, and sinker. That's what I'd do if I were you. And then I'd watch their ridiculous CGI fantasy movies that they show you and claim that it's the real thing. Just believe it. Yeah. Anyway, I digress. You know, it's been 47 minutes. I'm sure you're tired of hearing the ranting. I know I would be, right? Yeah. So, again, you don't have to believe everything I say, okay? Do your own research. I'm going to tell you it's getting harder to do because nobody will allow this stuff to be out there. So it's hard to do research on stuff whenever everything that you read is a lie. And AI is a liar, by the way. So if you AI it, doesn't mean it's true. In fact, I believe that, well, AI only replicates whoever programmed it. The people programming this junk are liars and devils and the worst of the worst. So you ain't going to get any truth out of any of it. Okay? If so, it's by accident. Or they don't know they're telling you the truth, something like that. So anyway, yeah, if you want to know more, you can go to my website, itsflatbro.com. You can go to my other website, truthseekersministry.com, or no, .org, my mistake. I've got more stuff I'm uploading all the time on Patreon that can't be uploaded here. So go check that out if you want. It is free, majority of it. And as usual, I do have a YouTube and I do have a TikTok. You can check that stuff out if you want. Please like it, share it. You know, that's the only way to get it out there. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, email me, truthseekers2012@gmail.com. Or you can fill out a form on any one of those websites, and it goes right to my same email. Okay. Other than that, I think that's it for today. So if you liked it, please share it. You know, support it. If you like, you don't have to. Thanks for listening. If you have any questions, comments, like I said, feel free. Get saved before it's too late. We are in the end times, folks. Like I said, people are willingly ignorant. Don't be one of those people. Get saved. Get some discernment. And figure out that your whole entire life you've been lied to. Okay? On that note, until we meet again, God bless you.